Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Popping in the new year here in 2025, guys. I'm so excited about this year and everything that we have upcoming for us. So, super excited about that. Actually, new music, right? Good stuff, man. I'm super pumped about this morning. Kicking off the year, kicking off 2025 the right way. And we're going to be talking about our goals today and discussing. I got some secrets for you, some little secret sauce that I'll be sharing with everybody here in a minute. But we'll dive into 2025. What's it going to look like for you? We're in it now, guys. Like we're in 2025. So this is it, right? Where there is no turning back now. We're in 2025. Whether you're ready or not, we are in 2025. So got a lot of cool things coming up for the year. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about, like obviously, is goals. But we're going to get into some AI stuff that I think will be very cool for all of you to help if you haven't set your goals yet, or if you have, even better, AI is going to help you refine it. And it's been pretty amazing, guys. Like, you know, I've said this before on the show that that we talk about, I'm 51, so it's like you're just getting used to this excitement of technology and all those other things. But I will tell you, and if you haven't yet, you're falling behind, but fully embrace the AI. It's amazing. ChatGPT, I know there's other levels and things coming out all the time. But fully embrace it, wrap your arms around it, guys, and just take it in. Take it in because it is here. It is here to stay, and it is a tool that is going to be amazing for you to use. And I'm going to show you stuff and talk about some things today about it with setting some goals. And good morning, Lisa LaRue. She's down there in South Carolina now enjoying the weather that we're not enjoying here since we got snow this morning. So, but again, live on KGCI Radio, we're streaming everywhere, YouTube and Facebook and all the other places that we need to be. The Breakfast Club line here is plugged in, and people are popping into the Breakfast Club line. And super excited to have it everything up and running, man. Like, again, new year, podcast is really taken off. And again, the KGCI Radio guys, thank you, Ian, for everything, for all the help and the support and all that stuff to get this thing up and running and running live on the radio. So very excited this morning. Let's jump into it. I talked about, and I put it in our collaboration chat. And if you're not in our collaboration chat, hit me up. I'll get you in there. But I talked about it yesterday. So when we talk about goals, you guys know, if you've been through one of my 90-day business plannings or any of those things, I talk about this all the time. And a goal without a plan is simply a wish. That's it. A goal without a plan is simply a wish. And it can't be, a willy-nilly. It's got to be a smart goal, right? You have to think about what actually it is that I want to go after and why. What's the why? Because if you don't know the why, I mean, what's the driving force for it? What's the driving force for that to why do it, right? I can say I want to make $1 million next year. Why? I mean, why would that be important to me? Why would that be a thing? Why would that be important to me? What would that do for me? What would that do for my family? So you have to think about these things when you're setting goals for yourself. Why? What does it look like? Why is it there? Because that then becomes your driving force. And so once that becomes your driving force, right, now you have something to get behind. Now you have, when you come in the office every day, you're not going to skip out on coming in the office every day. You're going to come in the office every day because you have a why. And you have a reason to be going and doing something. So you have that why. And once you find the why, now you can find an accountability partner or a mentor or a team leader to join or whoever. And now they can say, hey, remember, you had this big why, and you're not holding your end up to it. Again, it's not my why, it's yours. You said you want to do this for this reason. Now you're not doing it. So how do I then fix that, right? So that's what you have to think about is your why. So when you're thinking about goals, you should have goals already for 2025. We're in 2025. It's the 3rd. So you should have goals already for 2025. If you don't, it's okay. But you should have goals ready. If you don't, again, it's okay. Now what we're going to start to dive down into is finding out the why. Then we need to find out the how. Like, how are we going to do this? If I say I want to make $1 million next year, how the heck am I going to do that? What does that look like? What does that plan like? Right? And what does that even mean? Jeffrey Garner, good morning, my man. Happy New Year to you as well. Thanks for joining me again. And again, guys, again with these goals. So again, how am I going to do this? What does that even mean? And to some of you are like, I don't know the how, and I know why. I know what I want to do. I know why I want to do it. I don't have any idea how I want to do it. So if you don't know that, again, that's okay. Find somebody that will help you figure out the how. Okay? If it's simply you're looking at numbers from a year ago, and I want to just increase the numbers I did a year ago, that's great. How did you do it a year ago? Will it look the same? Do you just have to work twice as hard? What does that look like? So again, I'm going to talk to today, as we're diving into this more, about some AI stuff that will help you, again, sort of come up with the how and the why and the what, and figure those things out. Because if you don't know the why, how, what, none of it makes sense, right? None of it will work if you don't know. I can say again, I want to be a millionaire, but how, like, it doesn't. If I don't know the plan to get there, nothing will work, right? Then I'm just simply scrambling around. And I want to talk about that. And goals are one. The other thing about, and if you guys have listened to the show before, those of you that are listening later, you've heard this before as well. But I talked about setting a word for the year, right? I searched long and hard a year ago. And for those of you that don't know, like, I had a pretty serious surgery a year ago this time. And so I looked at that time, my word for 2024 was intentional. And I wanted to be more intentional with my time, with who I spent the time with, my business partners, my, everything. I had to really look at everything. And if I wasn't being intentional with what I wanted to do, I had to really think about, should I even be doing it? So throughout 2024, I really focused on being intentional. And by doing that, I had the opportunity to let some things go. Because if I wasn't being intentional with things, I couldn't work it out, right? I had to be intentional with things, and if it wasn't intentionally taking me closer to what I wanted to do, if it wasn't taking me closer to my dreams and my goals, I had to cut it loose, right? I had to cut it loose. And if you guys remember when I spoke at Build here in Detroit, when I spoke at Build, that's exactly what I talked about. And I talked about business and your circle of influence, and your circle of influence, how it's a reason, a season, or a lifetime. People are in that circle of influence for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And those people that are in there for a lifetime, sometimes they're in there for a season, like they pop in and out of your life. But when they pop back in, it's like you never missed a beat. We all have those friends, right? Like we haven't talked. I haven't talked to, Joe Schmo in 6 months. But when I see Joe Schmo, he's awesome, right? I don't have to worry about, we haven't talked. Nope. It's just like we just keep moving forward. So I know we all have friends like that. Those are great friends to have. But they're in there. They're in your life for a reason, okay? And the seasons come and go, and then there's the lifetime friends. So you have these reasons, seasons, or lifetime, and sometimes the seasons are bad, and that's okay too. I talked about this at Build, and the fact that it's okay to cut those seasons loose, right? So going back to my word of being intentional, I had to make some decisions as the year went along last year to cut some things loose and not be involved with those things I was doing, because I wasn't living intentionally for them. They were just things that were kind of just spinning my tires, and it wasn't really working out. So I say all that to say, now I've taken that word intentional, what 2024 was, and now it's become my word for 2025 is growth. Okay? Now, when I look at the word growth, my word growth is going to be including growing our team, right? Our elite team, and growing that part, growing my business, growing the podcast, growing the other businesses that are going to be rolling out here. That everything is going to be the elite network, right? So everything will be elite. Everything's going to be the elite network, and that's one thing I really focused on with my growth was how do I grow my business partners? Some of those are changing, right? So, but how do I grow? And it's by focusing, being intentional, and being intentional with growth, both in my business and in my personal. So that's where those are the words for the year, okay? And those words for the year help me refocus back on what my goals are, okay? So I just want to get really clear with everybody that's listening now, that's live or that's listening later. I just wanted to get that clear. Like this is the road I'm taking us down. Okay, this is the road I'm taking us down. So I'm taking us down the road of why this happens, and I've done a lot of studying and a lot of reading on this. And so the words that I've tied together, the words for the year, support what my goals are. So it keeps me focused. And if my word for the year this year is growth, I have to look at everything I'm doing. And if it's not growing the business, if it's not growing me personally, if it's not growing the things that I'm working on, then I can't do it. Okay? Then I can't do it. If it's not growing, it's dying, and I have to move on. And then I have to think back to how this all built up. And it all built up by being intentional first. So I was intentional, focused on my business, focused on what I needed to do, focused on who I need to be surrounded with. Now I can take that focus and being intentional and focus on my growth. So I'm just tying that all together for you and telling you where everything's at and how that works and where my thought and my study goes beyond this. Okay, so that's where this is, and then we're going to talk about, as we get through this, some AI stuff that will kind of blow your mind a little bit when it comes to your goals and how you can accomplish them, right? The what and how, and how AI will help you do that. So really cool stuff. But I got the Breakfast Club line. You guys are in there, and if you just star unmute yourself, say hello. But I'd love to talk about, or if you want to put it in the chat, let's talk about your goals, right? I want somebody to hit me up with their goals. Again, if you're on the Breakfast Club line and you hit star, you'll unmute yourself, say hello, and then let's talk about your goals. Or if you want to throw it in the chat, if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Facebook, if you want to throw it in the chat, and we can talk about that and go from there. But let's get some goals out there. What you guys are looking at, how you're trying to do it. But I'd love to hear from you guys out there to go over, kind of what your goals are, and how are you doing it? What have you come up with? What's working for you? Again, I know it's the 3rd, but how is that working for you guys? What's that look like, taste like, smell like? And are you excited about your goals? Are you scared of your goals? Are they BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals, right? So those things are all mingling together. So if you guys if you're on the Breakfast Club line, you hit star, unmute yourself. You would go ahead and talk to me. That number's running right there on the bottom there. And or put it in the chat up here of what your goals are. And let's talk about goals. So again, my goals, I have mine pulled up on my monitor down here. And let's talk about mine a little bit. So I did 2 things. Okay? I looked at 2 things, and I looked at two very specific things. The first thing I want to look at was what was the accomplishments that we had in 2024. Okay. So what were some accomplishments that we had as a team, as a group, then what did personally I have as what did I have then as a person? Like, what were my accomplishments? But I looked at the accomplishments for me personally. I looked at the accomplishments of the elite team, and then I looked at the big wins for the elite network that we're working on, and then I looked at goals for 2025 with the elite network, how that's going to grow, and the really cool part about this, guys, is if you haven't messed around with ChatGPT yet or your AI, I pulled up my goals are all in there right now. They're all in ChatGPT. And I know some of you are like, man, I have not um, spent a lot of time in there. And I will tell you to start spending some time in there. Find some time in the day to get into your ChatGPT, because what it's going to do, it's going to blow your mind, actually. But what it's going to do is it starts learning you, right? It starts learning you. The more stuff you put in there, the more it starts learning, right? The more it starts gathering information on you personally. Because remember, all it's doing is searching the web. All it's doing is searching the web and finding out like who's what, why, how, like who are the things, and going from there. So that is what it's doing. So it's learning you. It's constantly learning you. And the more prompts and the things that you're putting in, and listen, get personal with it, right? Get personal with it. It writes for me now. And if I wanted to, it'll automatically include my two sons. It'll include my wife. It includes, it includes the words behind me, right? These words behind me that take the risk, never look back, and no pressure. Like it takes those into account. It takes the podcast into account. It takes real estate into account. It takes coaching and training and mentoring. It takes all that into account. And so when it's writing for me, it's pretty amazing. So here's a couple tricks I've learned along the way. So the idea is this: if you pop into your ChatGPT, and if you haven't been messing around in it, start messing around in it. Just having it start writing things about you, and once it starts writing things about you, then refine it, put another prompt in, keep it going. And here's what I'm gonna do. So one of the things that I'm doing moving forward with the Elite Network, guys, is this: I'm gonna be doing bi-weekly webinars. Okay, so every other Wednesday. You can jump in. It's going to be 4 o'clock Eastern every other Wednesday. I will send this out to everybody. Look for it on the social media stuff. Look for it from the Elite stuff. But every other Wednesday, I'm going to be doing a webinar live. And again, it's just jump in. It's a Zoom, so you can just jump into the Zoom. But it's going to be every other Wednesday. And one of the first things I'm going to talk about is AI and how to use it and how to get it to start learning. And I know some of you are given the age problem, right? Like, again, I'm 51, but if I can learn it, you can all learn it. And I promise you that it will change a lot of your thoughts, efforts, and concerns about any of it. It will change a lot of it. So don't worry about that part. Just we'll get through it, but I'll teach you how to do it. Yeah, I'll teach you how to do it. So the first thing is there's going to be bi-weekly webinars coming from the Elite Network. Okay, so you'll start to see these coming out more and more. But it's my idea, it's my intention, and it's my idea for growth, professionally, personally, to give back to everybody. Right, things I'm learning, things I've learned. I don't want people to go through the same struggles and things that I have, and that's one of the things I wanted to make sure that I knew people in my age demographic too with technology is sometimes a struggle, and I want to help with that. Okay, so I'm pretty into it, and sorry about that, guys. I'm pretty into it, but that's going to be my way to give back. So bi-weekly webinars. That's one of my goals for 2025. Is every other week I'm going to do a webinar 4 o'clock. I'll put out the information, but every other Wednesday at 4 o'clock, and I did that at 4 o'clock Eastern time, because even for the West Coast now, right? It's one of the struggles I get with everybody with the podcast is like, man, it's 7:30, 4:30 in California, right? So, but so I just want to make this clear. So that's why I did it 4 o'clock every other Wednesday, and that is starting. I'm going to give you the date here right now. I'm just, again, being intentional. I want to make sure that I'm giving out the right date. It will be the 8th. Okay. So January 8th will be the first webinar. January 8th will be the first webinar of the year. And we're going to, on that one specifically, we're going to hit on some AI stuff. and I'll pull it up on a screen. We'll walk through some things. We'll figure it out. I'll help you guys walk through it, figure it out. What you need to be asking it, how you need to be asking it, and it will give you the answers that you're like, what? How did it realize that it's me? Okay, how did it realize that it's me? So, all that. So, again, I started with, I figured out what my accomplishments were. And the reason I have to figure out what my accomplishments were, think about this. All right, if I were to ask, if I were to be interviewed, for, let's say, writing a biography on myself. But if I were to write a book, I'd be interviewed for that. And I said I wanted to have a specific goal I wanted to achieve by December 31st, 2025. I would need to know where I'm starting. Okay? See, that's the thing that we miss a lot of times when we're setting SMART goals. If I were to say to you, and again, if you're on the Breakfast Club line and you hit ***, you'll unmute yourself and say hello. Or you can drop stuff in the chats on the social medias, and I will respond there too. But if you don't know where you are, how do you know where you're going? And when we talk about goals a lot, we miss that first part of where am I now? Okay? And I deal with this with agents a lot. Agents will come to me and as a coach, and they'll come to me and they'll say, again, it's a simple round number. I want to make $100,000 next year. Okay. How much did you make this year? And if they stay, they don't know. And that happens more than you think. But if they say, I don't know, then I have to find out, well, did you make $20,000 this year and now you want to make $100,000? Because that's going to be tough. Or did you make $90,000 last year and now you want to make $100,000? Because that's not going to be as tough. So you see where I'm going here, right? It's you have to put this into perspective of where you currently are with your business, where you currently reside. Like, what is your business currently like? To then understand, where do you want to go? Okay? So where are you now? You have to figure that out first. That's why I went through and did my accomplishments first, because I wanted to figure out where I was. How many houses did I sell? How many houses did our team sell? How many, and think about, I want to be in front of people more. Okay. So how many times was I in front of people speaking and giving back? Well, now I want to do more than that, but I have to know how many times I did it before I could say I want to do it this many times. Because if I've never done it, I can't say I want to do it 100 times. But if I've done it again, 50, I can probably do it 75. So see where I'm going with this. So I have to know all these numbers, right? If you and again, take some time to figure it out. Don't stress out over it. Okay? But you need to figure it out. You need to figure out if you sold 5 homes last year. Okay? If you sold 5 homes last year and next year you want to sell 10. How do you do that? How did you sell the 5? First of all, how did you sell the 5? Where did they come from? How did you know them? And then how do you double what you did? Okay? So you got, again, see where I'm going? You got to know where you start. You got to know your starting point. You can't just jump to the end and say, I want to make $100,000 next year. What did you make this year? Now I can say, okay, I want to double that. I want to Grant Cardone, I want to 10x it. But if you don't know what your starting point is, you can't 10x it because you don't know what the number is. If it's a 0, it's 10 times 0 is 0. So if it can be 1, and then it's 10 times 1 is 10. So you can 10x it, but you got to know what the starting number is. Okay, so let's just wrap around that a little bit, and I want that to really resonate with you all. To think about, where am I at currently, to then be able to go where I want to go and be able to reach the things I want to reach in the future. Okay? So, again, think about where you're at. And if you don't know, it's okay, but figure it out. Then take advantage and start putting together a plan of how then am I going to get to 10x it or double it or whatever I want to do and go from there. So again, know what your accomplishments are and what you did personally. If you're on a team, okay, and you want to or if you have a team, if you're a team leader and you want to increase the team, right? If you want to increase the people on your team, and if you want to increase the revenue on your team, that's fantastic. But again, how did you get the people on your team to begin with? How did you get them deals, or did they bring their own deals? How do you get them to get more deals, right? So again, then look at it as a team leader. As a team leader, I have to look at this a little bit differently and say, all right, so personally, yes, I want to increase my volume from what I did this year. Great. How do I help the team now increase their volume? And how do I help grow and bring more agents in? Because that's what listen, if you're a team leader, there's one way to grow your volume by adding agents, right? Like that's the fix. So, so growing your team, right? Or growing your team growth, and then find out what your big wins were. And then goals for 2025. Now, here's going to be a little secret that I'm going to put out for you. When you are in ChatGPT, and if some of you are messing around with it already, awesome. If you're not, that's okay. But if some of you are messing around with it already, and again, I don't want you guys to be scared of it, but if you're messing around with it already, here's what I'm going to tell you. I want you to go in there today, okay? And if you can do it right now. But I want you to go in there today, and I want you to put in there, this is what you're going to type into ChatGPT. Act as an expert media marketing manager. Okay? That's the first prompt. Act as an expert media marketing manager. And then if you don't have any information in there yet, if you haven't done any of this yet, it's okay. But even if you've just done your listing tickets, right? Like you've just done your listing descriptions. Like if you've just done that, it's going to now know how many houses you've sold, right? It's going to know all that. But I would go in there and then what have the accomplishments been for me personally this year? What have been the accomplishments of the elite team been this year? So again, you can plug in whatever you need to here. What other big things that have been done by the elite network this year, including the podcast? And guys, it just runs and it just fills and it's amazing. Now I can go in there and refine, which I did, and I put more prompts in and I cleaned it up a little bit and I put some different things in there. Now, the really cool part is now that I've built this part in here, one of the things that I've done is I went back in there and I asked for a script and I had said this: act like a social media expert in marketing and write me a script for a social media video with these goals highlighted. So again, I'm going to give you that again. Act like a social media expert in marketing and write me a script for a social media video with these goals highlighted. I'm going to say that again because I cough in the middle. Sorry, guys, I'm fighting with this cough. But act like a social media expert in marketing and write me a script for a social media video with these goals highlighted. And it will write you out a whole script to shoot a video. It takes all the thinking out of it for you. One of the things that we talk about for like doing video, right? Like everybody's like, yeah, I want to do videos, but I don't know what to do it on, right? And I don't know what to say, and I don't know. You don't have to worry about it. It'll do it for you. Now you can refine it, and it'll make all your stuff right. And then you can refine it again. But here's the key to the whole social media chat GPT thing. And I'm going to give you a couple different other prompts. I'm giving you some secret sauce today. So I want you to go into your chat GPT and you can write this. I have a specific goal I want to achieve by December 31st, 2025. Here's the goal. And that's when you have to insert a detailed description of the goal, right? Like income, career level, lifestyle, whatever you want, like they're very specific goals. So this is where you got to think about what your goals are. Okay. Then you got to, know where you're going. So you put those in there, put that in there. Then you can even break it down and you can reverse engineer it and say, give me quarterly goals, monthly goals, weekly actions, and daily non-negotiables. Small but essential steps I must take every day. I will share this with you guys. I know some of you are probably writing down furiously right now, but find me on Instagram, Jimmy Nelson Real Estate, and I will share this with you. Okay? Jimmy Nelson Real Estate on Instagram, and find me there, and I will share this with you. But I wanted to go through it today a little bit because this is how important this is, right? Like, because most people don't know what these prompts for ChatGPT are. Okay? And then, you can go in even later on and say, all right, help me set up a follow-up and evaluation system with specifics, including dates on frequency. Like, how often should I review my progress? Evaluation metrics. What key factors should I evaluate at each stage to make sure I'm on track? Adjustments, tips for how to pivot or adjust my plan if I'm falling behind or ahead. So see, those are the prompts you put in to ChatGPT, and then it spits out all your goals, what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, the frequency of which you should be doing those things, right? And it will give you all the answers. Now, once you have all that, you're able to then give that to somebody and say, hey, thanks for helping holding me accountable. Here's my goals. And listen, guys, if you're not drinking water, this pure aqua, it's alkaline, it's pH balanced, like pH 9. Oh man, this stuff is delicious. But so here's the thing: if you're struggling on how to hold you accountable, what should I be doing? How should I be doing it? This is going to give you clear direction. Then you can hand this to somebody, print it out, hand it to somebody, and say, here's what I'm doing. Here's how often I'm supposed to be doing it. Here's what my daily routine is supposed to be. Can you help hold me accountable to it? Because now you have clear, concise, direct actions, movements, schedules, everything you should be doing on a daily basis. And you can simply just hand this piece of paper to somebody and say, hey, could you do me a favor? Could you help hold me accountable to what these are? And if they're going to look at you and go, well, how did you do this? I guarantee you they're going to say that. How did you do this? Now you're able to show someone else this, okay? You're able to show someone else this. So again, you're able to show somebody else this. So I would say, this is how I do it. This is what I did. This is how I did the prompts. This is how I did everything, and give it away, and then you can help hold them accountable, right? You can help hold them accountable, which would be amazing because now you have an accountability partner that you both are locked in. You both are doing amazing things, and you're going to help grow and develop each other, and everything will be great. It'll be sunshines and rainbows and unicorns and flying cars. It'll be great. So, again, Breakfast Clubber's on. We're live here on KGCI Radio. We're streaming out everywhere. If you guys have, I want somebody on Breakfast Club line, star, unmute yourself, and bring up some goals. Or if you can in the chat, on where you're watching it. Put in there some of the goals you are going over and what your goals are for the year. And let's talk about it. I want to talk to a couple people and see what we have for goals and ideas and what it looks like for you guys out there. You've heard enough about my goals. And again, I'll keep talking about it because I love what's happened so much with learning these chat prompts and all these things and how much it's helped me. And I just want to make sure it's helping you guys, right? I want to make sure it's helping you all, that you're all receiving it and that it's working out for you. So but again, I'd like to talk about somebody else's goals too. But to continue on mine, look, I looked at a bunch of different things. I looked at what is what is happening, what's going on, and where I wanted to go. Okay, so going back into mine. Going back into mine, I brought up so now it's given me, because it knows, because here's the thing. Now I told you all about growth, and this was my word of the year was growth. So that being said, it actually wrote in mine 2025 the year of growth. So and here's the words that ChatGPT gave me, right? As we step into 2025, my focus is all about growth in leadership, business, and personal impact. And with that, the elite network is set to reach new heights. So again, I didn't write that. I wish I could. I don't write this good, but this thing does, right? So there's a lot of new things coming out from the elite network, and I'm very excited about a few things that I can't announce quite yet. But there's some things that are going to coming out that are going to help you agents, in a few different ways. But the elite network is going to be doing a lot of things. I already said bi-weekly webinar is starting on the 8th. So 5 days from now will be the first one, 4:00 Eastern time. Again, find me on LinkedIn or you can find me on LinkedIn. It's Jimmy Nelson. Or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. Instagram is Jimmy Nelson Real Estate. Or you can hit me here with the Elite Real Estate Podcast. You can find that on Facebook as well. So either way, you can find me a lot of different places, but reach out to me. I'll give you all the information on it, let you know what's happening with it. But look, the whole thing about growth, guys, is how do I grow is by helping more people. And the more people I can help, the more it helps me grow and develop as a leader, as a person, as a coach, as a mentor, as a trainer, as all the things that I want to be and that I want to be better at and that I want to grow into. And like I told you guys, it's growth, right? So I was able to speak at some really cool events a year ago. I was able to speak at Build. I was then able to speak at EXPCon in Miami. I was then able to speak at, to co-host the Oktoberfest event that we had. I was able to co-host the first panel cast that we did, which is a cool event. And then, the events throughout that. So my goal for next year is I get to co-host the EXP Regional Rally again. That's coming up in May. So I'll be on stage there. So that's one of the other things that I really wanted to do was be able to co-host that event again, and I'm able to do that. So again, I put all these into perspective, and I put these all into perspective because, and what I wanted to show everyone was the fact, like, again, you have to know where you are with your goals, with your dreams, with your ideas, with like who you want to be, who you want to become, but you have to know where you're starting. You can't start somewhere else. And I used to think that all the time. Okay? I used to think that way. There's nothing I can't do. I can figure it out, right? This is what I teach my kids, right? There's nothing you can't do. There's no such thing as can't. But I also can't fly right now. Right? Now I could buy a plane ticket and I could get on a plane, so I need the help. See, so that was one of the questions that I had somebody tell me one time. Somebody said to me, I said, there's nothing you can't do. Everything's possible. And of course, when you do this in front of a room, I got that age-old, smart alecky thing. I can't fly. And I said, you can fly. You got to buy a plane ticket, but you can fly. You just need some help. Right? So again, it kind of goes back to there's nothing you can't do. Sometimes you need some help. And that's one of the things I really wanted this to hit on today was these goals, your dreams, your aspirations, all the things that you have in front of you. You can do all of them. Do you need some help? Probably. Right? And look, the AI can help. It can be it's a tool in your tool belt. Right? One of the things that I learned from Phil Stringer, right? The AI piece is not going to replace anybody, but it's going to help the people that learn it, and the people that learn how to work it are going to be the ones that are adding tools in their tool belt, right? So that's what you have. That's where you have to take it, and that's where you have to think about it. So, but that's where, so again, go back to thinking about this. What are my goals? Dave said, "Did you get my chat?" I don't think I did. I didn't get your chat, Dave. But Dave, if you want, you can text me. I have my phone here. But yeah, so I would say it's very important to say where I'm starting and what I've done. Because again, I've this year, 2024, the part of 2023 and 2024 weren't easy for a lot of us agents. Right? It wasn't an easy time to just jump into real estate. It was tough. Business got harder. Interest rates went up. Right? Market slowed down. Right? They said the 2024 was the slowest market in 35 years. Right? Things are sitting on the market longer. You've got clients that are worried now because they've been on the market for 17 days and the house hasn't sold yet. When all the things that they've been hearing for the last 2 years is, it took 2 days for my house to sell. So now you got panic in the streets because everybody's worried about where my house is. Look, it's all relevant, right? It's all together. But at the same point, you have to say, all right, how does this look? What does it look like? And again, warn your clients that it's the market has slowed a little bit, right? But they said this was the worst market in 35 years, which kind of is mind blowing because of some of you, and some of you I know had your best years ever. Some of you had your best years ever, and I want you guys who you did have that, I want you to stand up and be proud. It doesn't matter if your best year ever was selling 5 homes or selling 1 home. If that was your best year ever, then revel in it because that is big because this 2024 was tough. It was a tough year. So the great news is that that you had a great year, or if you didn't have a great year, it's okay. But where are you at now? Where are your feet right now? And where did you go? And where are you going? More importantly. But you got to know where you're at. Okay? But yeah, if you're on the Breakfast Club line, just hit star. You'll unmute yourself. Say hello. And we'll keep moving on. But yeah, no, Dave Petrolius, I did not get your chat. But if you have goals or whatever, you can throw it right in this spot. So 2025, guys, like, what are your goals? What's happening? What's going to go on? What are the things? Now, I think, personally, I think 2025 is going to be a fantastic year. I think 2025 is going to be a year of growth. See what I did there? I think 2025 is going to be a year of growth. I think 2025 is going to be a year of opportunity. Okay? Now, you have to take advantage of the opportunity, that the things that pop in front of you. And one of the things, again, that I talk about a lot is opportunity. No one likes wasted opportunity. You know, when you see opportunity in front of you, if you don't grab it, you're not being intentional or trying to grow. And those are the ones that I have to think about a lot. Okay? So, being intentional, looking to grow. I want you, to think about a word of the year for you guys, right? What's going to be your word of the year? And share those with me too, right? Share those with me on social medias. Share that with me. Tag me in some stuff and say, Jimmy, my word of the year is, I don't know, money. Who knows? I don't know, whatever it is. But yeah, tag me in that. Let me know what your word of the year is, and we'll go from there. But man, like, I am just super excited. I think this is going to be a phenomenal year for a lot of people, and I see a lot of growth, a lot of opportunity, and a lot of potential, and go from there. So let's see. I got some stuff coming in. Oh, Dante, I love this one. His word of the year is faith. I love that. Now, that means a lot of things, right? That means a lot of things. It's a big encompassing word that we associate immediately with religion, right? Which is good. But then it's like, faith, is that faith in myself? Faith in my business? What does that look like, right? And again, being faithful, right, to how I live, how I do things, and all that. So faith is a strong word. And again, when you start to relate it to, and again, that's how I look at this. I look at this like, how can I relate this to other things? Like, if I were to walk outside today and say, I'm living with faith, what does that mean? Like, do I have faith that, think things are going to turn around for me or whatever? That faith is a great one. And it's amazing. It's tough, and it's great. Oh man, Dante, you're right. With faith, there is no fear. Love it. I love it, brother. I love it. I love it. I love it. So Dave sent me in here. So he's working to make my primary goal the time blocking of my day. Looking for tips on getting a workable calendar that is not going to overwhelm so it becomes achievable. Share baby steps to lay it out. Yeah, this is hard. Okay, this is hard because I preach this a lot, right? You guys know who's sat with me in the 90-day business plan. I preach this a lot with your calendar and scheduling everything out and time blocking. I talk about this a lot, but Dave is right here. How do I get the tips on looking at a workable calendar that's not going to overwhelm so it becomes achievable? So Dave, you work out. So I relate this back to like working out. Okay. So if I were to tell you that you need to find business, you need to work on your business for 3 hours a day. Prospect. You need to prospect your business, and whether that's your sphere or whatever, wherever you're prospecting for business. If I tell you to do that for 3 hours today, you're not going to want to do it tomorrow. Okay? So it's much like working out. So if I were to tell you today to go lift, bench press 500 pounds 3 times, and let's say you actually did it, well, if I tell you to go back tomorrow and do it again, you're going to be like, no, man, it hurts. I'm sore. So it's kind of the same way. So I would say baby steps for sure. What does an hour look like? If I'm prospecting, or if I'm doing social media, or if I'm, but again, get clear with what that means. If I've had a lot of agents say to me, well, I want to do social media for my business. Great. What does that mean? I'm just going to post some stuff. That's not how it works. But anyway, staying focused on the calendar and the schedule, Dave, what I would say is increments. 30 minutes to an hour spent on however it is you want to build your business. Okay. Now, if you don't know how to or don't know where, how you did your business, right? Or how you where you want to take your business, again, that now can become achievable with plugging it into Chat GPT. Because now I can say, all right, here was my goal. Here's what I did this year, right? And again, I go back to the prompt: act as a team leader of a real estate brokerage and tell me these are all my accomplishments from 2024. How do I double that in 2025? See what it comes up with. And then get even more deep with it and say, what do I need to do on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly business? What do I need to do to work on those goals to make it the same thing? And how do I do that? So you can literally put that in the ChatGPT, Dave, and it will spit that out for you exactly what you should be doing. And then say put exactly what you put in there. I'm going to pull your question back up on there again, right? Put this exactly in there. I'm looking for tips on how to get a working calendar that's not going to overwhelm so it becomes achievable. Share baby steps to lay it out. Put that in your Chat GPT. See what it comes up with. Like you could literally just take this sentence that you typed in, these couple sentences you typed in, and put them in there, and it'll give you some answers. Now you might have to refine it a little bit and tune it in, but you can. Divya, abundance mindset is my word of the year. I love it. Abundance is great. Again, what does that look like? You can put that into so many things, and I love how these words you can say, well, what is that? That's my word of the year. But I can put it into so many things. When you start to get really deep and think about this word, what does that look like? What is that? Again, with abundance and how that is. And again, here's what I want you guys to focus on. When you say that this is your word, you're not gonna live by it all the time. You're gonna try. You're gonna try. But this is what it does. This gives you the focus to go back and say, oh, am I living in my abundance mindset right now? Or is this just a waste of time? And it has that, now you have that opportunity to think about it. Like, man, I said I was living with an abundance mindset. Am I though? Right? Like, am I living in an abundant mindset or am I not? Right? So think about that. Like, that's where this comes in to play, right? That's where this comes into play. Faith, Dante, same thing. Is this I said I was going to live with faith. Am I? Like, is this thing that I'm doing right now, is this event that I'm getting ready to go to, or is this thing that I'm getting ready to do or say, is that me living with my faith or no? Again, that's my mind with growth, right? I have to think about, is this the growth? Is this growing me or is it not? Because if it's not growing me, I can't do it. Right? I mean, I can't do it. If it's not going to help me grow, I can't do it. So I want you guys to think about that. When you say these words, this is what it means. And again, I've read a lot of books and done a lot of study on this. And a lot of interesting things come out, right? And then putting this all together and then putting a plan together. Again, if you need help with this, reach out to me. You can find me on social media. You can find me on Instagram at Jimmy Nelson Real Estate. You can find the Elite Real Estate Podcast on Facebook. You can find me on Facebook. But again, find out where you currently are. Like, what did you do last year? What were your numbers? And if you don't know your numbers from last year, it's okay. Go find them. And here's the numbers you should know. Right, just right off the top right off the rip. The numbers you should know are, one, how much volume did you sell last year? Right? How much volume did you sell last year? What was your GCI, your gross commission income? Your average price per sale? Your cost per sale? Right? And those are that's just right off the rip. Now you got to get deeper than that. But if you're just starting out and you're just figuring this thing out and you haven't ever done this with numbers before, those are like the top 4 things that you got to just know. And you should know them offhand. Like if I were to run into you on the street, I should be able to, because it's early, right? If I run onto the street, I should be able to say, hey, like what was your volume last year? It was 8 million. Okay, awesome. What was your average price per sale? 293,000. Ran that ballpark. Like you should know those numbers, right? You should know those numbers. You should be able to rattle those off. And if you can't, it's okay. But now go find them, right? Go find them. The year just wrapped up. Go find those numbers, okay? And then you can say, what are my goals for 2025? And if you've already set your goals for 2025, but yet you don't know what your 2024 was, you may have to adjust your 2025. And if you're going to adjust it now, okay? And that's, again, it's okay. We adjust, we play with numbers. That's how we survive, right? Because here's the thing. We all know this. The number is crazy. It's 87% of realtors are out of the business in the first year, and that number increases to like 92% in year 2 or year 3. So we know how, and the reason why, guys, and the reason I don't want you guys out of it is the reason why is they don't know their numbers. They don't run it like a business, and it's just kind of willy-nilly. And if you're really willy-nilly with it, it's not sustainable, right? It's not sustainable, right? It's not. I can't sustain what that is if I don't know how I'm doing it, right? And I think a lot of people in this business over the last few years, the exception of 2024, have had like monster killer years. And they don't even know how or why or what. It just happened. But those are also the ones that it's going to be hard to sustain long term because you don't know, right? You don't know how long you're going to be able to sustain that because you don't know how you did it. So again, go back and Divya, thanks for the explanation. Yep, absolutely. Hopefully that this is clear for everybody. I hope that everybody understands kind of what we've been talking about today. And again, if you need explanations on some of this stuff, you can hit me up. You can find me on Instagram at Jimmy Nelson Real Estate. The Elite Real Estate Podcast you can find on Facebook. You can find it and hit me up there. You can find me in all the typical the typical social media places is where I'm at. So again, I am appreciative of you guys, the Breakfast Club. Thank you guys for hanging on today. Thanks for the questions that came in for Dave and everybody else, Dante and Divya, everybody that kind of put in today, Lisa. I appreciate you guys doing that and Dave. But if you guys, again, if you have questions, concerns, comments, whatever, if you need to know anything that I covered today and you need help with, hit me up. I've got this Chat GPT prompt that I can share with you as well that will help you, again, reach those goals, those ideas, and, kind of lead you down that path. These 2025 goals, because, guys, listen, I'm here for you guys. I want everybody to grow. There's enough for us all to eat. I want this to be a big year for all of you, and I'm super excited to be riding along with you. But keep your eye out for the Elite Network. There's a lot more announcements coming out. Don't forget, webinars every other Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Hit me up. I will get you the information on those and where to find it and how to log into them and go from there. So, guys, take it easy. I appreciate you all. Next week, I've got special guests coming on next week. And I've got special guests lined up, guys, for the next while here. So look forward to a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool people coming on with me. Next week, I've got Jason Revere from New York. We'll be on. He's a luxury agent out of New York that will be joining me next week. The following week, I've got Russ from EXP coming on. Then I've got Ken. Guys, I'm booked through like almost February now. So super excited to have you guys here. Again, KGCI Radio. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Everybody have a great, safe week. Remember, find the Elite Real Estate Podcast on YouTube. Click the link, subscribe, follow. Appreciate you all. I'll talk to you next week.